Hi everyone and welcome to Canada CPA Online Academy. Past few days we have been discussing each Canadian auditing standards, the CAS, and going through each standard and understanding what does the standard say. It gives us a better understanding to understand the assurance principles and how it would affect in our case scenarios, and wherever required we can easily quote them and refer back to the CAS so that our suppose in day two role you have assurance role when you quote exact CAS and what does the CAS say and relate your case and your answer to that, you achieve more depth in your answer. So that is what we are trying to do to understand what does the CAS say and how it can be applied in a case setting. Now, as every standard, usually there is the scope definition and the requirements, and then there is some other explanatory material. Now, all this application and other explanatory material is not a part of the main standard. It's not like a regulatory requirement. This is just the explanation of whatever the standard says. So it is always a good practice to go through the explanatory material if something is not clear. There are sometimes some examples that make the situations very clear what they are trying to say. So today we are going to discuss CAS 220, the quality management for an audit of financial statements. Now, what is quality management? So, quality management, take it as an internal control or a quality check for the audit firms for conducting the audit. Now the CAST defines the scope and objective. So the objective, what it states is the objective of the auditor is to manage the quality of the engagement level to obtain reasonable assurance that quality has been achieved. Okay, and it should be in accordance with the professional standards, applicable legal and regulatory requirements, and the auditor's report issued is appropriate in the circumstances. So any engagement, when you say it has it requires, suppose you are reporting under ASPE or IFRS, then there are some other companies act requirements and things like that. So the auditor should, it's the auditor's responsibility to ensure that all these standards and the legal requirements are satisfied. Now, understand that audits are usually conducted in a team. It's not that the signing auditor goes there and does all the audit. For larger firms, the audits are conducted in a team, but the signing partner, whoever signs the audit report, he is responsible for the opinion expressed in that audit report. Now, when he is responsible and he is taking that liability to be responsible for that opinion, understand he needs to verify that whatever the work done by the team, whether it's a junior auditor, senior audit staff, or the audit manager, or whoever the team consists of, he needs to ensure that all the proper checks are um, conducted, because the team always has like various experience level from junior to senior. Maybe the junior is just auditing the basic vouching, and then he or she is not yet fully what you can say ready, or not yet capable to link all the things. So whether they have considered all the points or all the aspects of audit, that is what the job of the signing partner is. Now, every engagement, every audit, every the firm, what they are trying to ensure is that whether all the CAS are followed, and all the it should have its own quality control procedures. Now, and like take an example of a company who is product like producing a product, maybe a soap manufacturing, for example. So like they will have some standard at which proportions to use for making that soap, how much, what would be the quantity, how does that finished product look like, what would be the packaging and all that. And that's a very standard process. And then at each level there would be a quality check, where before going to the further level there will be a quality check that whether that soap is being manufactured as per the required standards of for that company. So similar case for the audit. the partner is going to be ensuring that, okay, is the vouching complete, is the initial evidence collection complete, is the review process complete, are the reconciliations done, are the maybe the ratios and comparative analysis done. So as the audit progresses at each level, the partner would be ensuring the steps are followed, nothing is missed, and basically the standard for now for audit, the standard would be the CAS and the other legal requirements. So he would be ensuring holding the audit to that standard, that whether all that standard is applied and completed or not. So consider this as an internal control procedure for the audit firms. So that is what this standard is all about, and the emphasis of this standard is that ensuring that each audit engagement is completed with the same quality of excellence, detail, and all the standards that are followed. Now, there are some definitions and then the requirement starts. So the first requirement is that leadership responsibilities for managing and achieving quality of an audit. Now, as we discussed, the engagement partner shall take the overall responsibility of managing and achieving the quality, including taking the responsibility for creating environment for the engagement that emphasizes firm's culture and expected behavior of the team members. Now, he is the driving force for that engagement, and he would be like responsible to give the clear instructions to the team and then take the actions and like supervise them and communicate everything what is required from the team and get the job done. So that is what the responsibility of the uh, partner is. Now, the signing partner is legally responsible for the audit and the opinion expressed in the audit for the all of the work of the team. The junior member is not held responsible for something that he or she did. The final responsibility lies with the signing partner. That is why like there are procedures in any firm for the detailed review of the audit, like what is the documentation, is the audit trail is the documentation for the audit trail sufficient, whether the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence is collected, was professional skepticism exercised, does like sometimes what the what the boss sees or the what the main partner sees, sometimes it might be missed by the junior team members just because of the experience of that partner. So and also like they have the history of that company, so they know what can go wrong with this company, what needs to be checked, what are the weak areas, what are the stronger areas. So based on the history and the experience, the partner is more equipped in terms of knowledge and experience so that he can catch things that are sometimes missed by the team. So that is why these regular checks by the partner are required over the audit team. So whether the proper inquiries and explanations are done, evidence is collected, and all this reporting, all this would be the integral part of that review process. Now, understand the professional ethics values are very important. As a CPA, it is always rated. The CPA profession is always known for its high standard and commitment. So the ethical requirements are always a top priority, and because that is why the profession as such holds such a high standard, and the and what you can say trust in auditors. So it is very important that the partner ensures that it is observed. Now, next point is communication within the engagement team and supporting the ability of engagement teams to raise concerns without fear or fear of reprisal. So like if something is not clear or some team member has some doubt, they should be equipped or have that confidence enough to raise that question to their senior members or to the partner, that okay, this is what I have done and I think this is not matching, or this might be, or there might be some fraud, or there might be an indication of error, or there might be something that is not tallying up, and then that person is not sure. So whatever the doubt is, that person should be what you can say, like the trust should be developed that that person can raise that question, because it is very important in a audit team to have that open communication, because it's a team assignment. And then like I've given an example, like suppose one team member is auditing the revenue numbers, and then that person should be in communication with the person who is auditing, suppose, the receivables part, so that if there are any mismatches, any concerns, something is fishy, there are some, maybe some errors or maybe some frauds, because it's a linked ecosystem, all the financial statements, wherever one aspect is maybe there are errors, it always reflects on the other side somewhere. So when the team is in communication, then it helps that as an overall, the risk of the audit is minimized, so that risk of finding the errors and misstatements in the financial statements is minimized, and the audit engagement is more successful. Now, always the professional skepticism that the partner should ensure that it is followed. Always trust but verify whatever the answers given by the company. Now, second point is relevant ethical requirements, including those related to independence. Now, independence is always, again, a high priority matter, because there should not be any threat to independence. If there is a threat to independence, there should be proper action taken to remove that threat. For example, suppose there is a team member who is related to that audit engagements, maybe director or somewhere he's related. So maybe the steps should be taken that that person is removed from that team, so that the engagement is not compromised, and there is no threat to the compliance of independence requirements. So all these things should be considered and reviewed by the member, and if any threats should be removed. Next is acceptance and continuance of client relationships and audit engagements. Now, every firm has a policy which audits accept, what should be the procedure, what should be the initial review before accepting the engagement. And so the firm should have a policy to that, and that policy should be followed. Next is engagement resources. Now, this is very important, because as we discussed, like the partner is not going to do all the work. So the team is going to complete that audit engagement or the work required for that audit engagement. So it is very important to ensure that the team members have the sufficient and required qualifications, like maybe they're pursuing CPA, or they are CPA, or they understand the concepts of assurance, they understand the audit procedures, or sometimes some industries the knowledge is required is very specific because of the way the industry works, the maybe very specific to that industry. So the team should have that industry specific knowledge. Like retail would have a different revenue model, the manufacturing would have a different revenue model. So to understand what's going on, to understand, to review the procedures, to conduct audit procedures, the team should be uh, equipped enough to understand and understand that engagement. So what is the type of audit, what are the procedures, then like I said, expertise if required in that field, and if the team is qualified to handle that audit. Now, sometimes it may happen that the the firm does not have that expert related to that field or the related to that industry. In that case, you can take the help of the external expert. So um, that responsibility of that partner also like it extends to the indirect team, such as if there are some experts involved, there is some internal auditors reports that you are trusting or taking into consideration, or there are some other firms that are engaged for the location audits, like branch audits or stock audits at the location. So ensure that that third party also has a sufficient knowledge and expertise, it exists, and then the quality of your firm is also extended and maintained throughout the audit, even in case of those experts or external agencies. So it's not just limited to your own team. It extends to that whatever input goes in that audit engagement, it extends to all the resources. Now, next is the engagement performance. Now, this is like a supervision by the partner of the team. So direction, supervision, and review. That is the first point. So it's the execution of audit, whether the chain of command is followed, whether there are review procedures that of the work performed by junior members. Is the work reviewed by each level, like a junior team members, juniors audit staff is like the work is verified by the senior. The questions are answered. Then there are team discussions. There is an open communication within the team that the team is meeting frequently and discussing the issues or concerns that they are seeing in the audit. So everything, there should be a procedure and it should be followed in that sense. Now, regarding the uh, review of the documentation. Now, documentation is also a very important aspect, whether the evidence collected is appropriate, is it sufficient based on the historical knowledge of the engagement, like the partner would know what are the trouble areas, are the adequate steps taken to dive deep into those areas, have they validated, have they questioned the managers, supervisors, or those who are charged with the governance, have they obtained proof, like wherever there are weak controls, like I have given an example, if there are weak internal controls on revenue, are the proper procedures followed, like detailed substantive analytical procedures for revenue number, year-end checks, like verifying stock, issue slips, cross-matching invoices, everything, whether all the standard procedures are followed to ensure that nothing is missing, there are no misstatements in the statement, whether all the checks. Now, it is always stated that it is not a guarantee or it is not an 100% assurance. It is always a reasonable assurance. But now that reasonableness depends on it's subjective. It's to um, that person's professional judgment. But still, all the steps should be taken, and not just the steps. All the steps should be taken, and there should be a documentation of all those steps taken, because um, there should be if there is a review later, there should be enough documentation to show that all these steps were taken to arrive at this opinion that is expressed in the audit report. Next is consultation. So the partner shall take the responsibility for the engagement team undertaking consultation on different matters and other matters. And then next is engagement quality review. Now, quality review is like uh, it's internal peer review. You can say that another partner is conducting the review of that engagement from as a as a check. You can say that he's ensuring that this partner has followed everything that is required to be followed to ensure that the quality of the audit is not compromised. So that is again one more level of review. And then one more important thing is differences of opinion. Now, not everyone will agree on everything. There might be always something. There are sometimes differences of opinion on, say, materiality of an accrual, or something that two partners or two team members are having difference of opinion. So it is important to discuss those difference of opinion, and it is important to arrive or agree to one conclusion so as to proceed to form the final audit opinion or conclusion. Now, if it cannot be agreed upon that both the team members or the the members are very firm on their opinion and it cannot be resolved to one common aspect, then there should be necessary next steps that should be taken, such as taking a legal advice, or if cannot be done, then withdrawing from the engagement. But You should never move ahead with the differences of opinion and conclude on just one person's opinion. So that is important. And last part is always documentation. We discussed briefly documentation here, but like whatever all this, however it is done, there should be a documentation of all these, the nature and scope of all the conclusions, what was discussed, what was, how you arrived at the conclusion, how they were implemented, and all those things. So that is where you should be documenting. So I think if you have worked in any audit firm or you have assurance experience, this is a pretty what you can say logical, and what you have seen, you know all this stuff, because in an every um, firm, this all these are followed in any engagement. So it's a very logical standard, and you know what is done. So, but if you don't have assurance experience at all, then I would suggest go and read the explanatory matter so that you would understand a few things in more detail, and how the possible actions would be taken and things like that. Okay, so thank you for your time today, and we'll be meeting again with the next CAS, that is CAS 230. And if you're new here, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and keep spreading the word. And thank you so much.